My name's Rebecca Fontaine-Wolf. I'm a figurative artist and I currently live and work in London. In terms of subject matter, I'm interested in image, beauty and identity, and those are things I've always been interested in. It sort of started with painting mythical creatures when I was younger, painting mermaids and princesses, and it's kind of continued in the same vein. I'm still interested in mythical perfection, I suppose. And for me, something that has become really interesting is the void between fantasy and reality. When you grow up, the void between fantasy and reality becomes larger. When you're young, they can coexist together quite happily. That's something I find quite hard to deal with in my day-to-day life. I live in my fantasy world, and to me, fantasy is about ideals and it's about perfection. And the problem is that when fantasy and reality come together, it's only ever for a fleeting moment. So you have one moment where you are perfectly beautiful, or you're at the perfect age, or you're perfectly in love, but none of these things are lasting. You can't hold on to them. And that's something that informs a lot of my work. To me, fantasy is also laced with sadness. It's exciting because it's something to dream about, it's something to look forward to, but at the same time, you know you can't hold on to it, you know that it's passing. And that sort of melancholia, which to me is it's a pristine melancholia because it's beautiful, but it's sad at the same time, and that is what I'm trying to hold on to in my paintings. Technically, I like playing with the illusion inherent in figurative painting, so I find unfinished paintings very exciting. For example, old masters where you can see the figure growing out of the canvas. So I try to replicate elements of that in my own work. Over time, I've used lots of different materials and techniques, but currently I'm using chiffon as a base. You can actually see through the canvas itself, so you can see the stretcher bars. You can also stretch it on both sides, which means that the layering also gets another dimension because you can actually have two physical layers that you're working on. It also gives it a lot more movement so that it shifts and changes from each perspective. For example, in this painting behind me, it really changes depending on what time of day it is and what angle you're looking at it from. You can see some of the background coming through from certain angles, but also at night, when you've got light coming from one side, it just picks up the gold and it looks completely different. And it kind of reflects the ethereal nature of the subject matter that I'm dealing with. My work's constantly shifting and evolving. I've tried out using a lot of different materials to paint on, ranging from very rough canvas to perspex. And now working with the chiffon, I really feel that it gives the series more depth because it is such a soft fabric and it is traditionally used for dresses. So using it in this context of looking at beauty and this ethereal quality, it just really works for me. Obviously it being translucent as well just adds that extra element that makes it feel more delicate and makes it feel more fleeting. The whole process has kind of opened my eyes to understanding my interest in beauty and the female form in greater depth, and has made me see that really I just use it as a vehicle to explore these ideas of fantasy and reality.